All right, ladies and gentlemen. This is Wednesday, September 12th. This is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, and we're coming to you live from the streets of Orange County. The weather forecast today in Southern California calls for cloudy skies with a 90% chance of chemtrails. And so we are under a gray, gloomy morning in Southern California, and I want to welcome you all to this broadcast. It's extremely important what we're going to talk about here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we've all got a mother. Some of our mothers are still alive. Some of our mothers are dead. Some of our mothers are dying as we speak. Some of our mothers have died recently. And I want to talk to you about something that is a completely avoidable tragedy that makes me sick and angry to the core of my being. And that is this breast cancer epidemic that continues to grip this nation and rip families to shreds, to destroy children and ruin marriages and end families. You know, folks, I've got to tell you that just about everything that we've been told is a lie. And I will repeat the statement that I made in a movie that I did not too long ago called Total Recall. If you look up Total Recall, the Fullerton Informer, I go into some details as to this point. But the noose that is hung around our necks is being tightened by government agents, medical mafia provocateurs, and the rope itself is wound by the lies that have been woven into the fabric of our educational system. And it's braided into a noose that is strung around the necks of all of us. And those that tighten the noose are the ones that wear the white coats, folks. That's right, the doctors. The doctors continue to tighten the noose. But that rope won't hold us if we break the strands. And those strands are woven one lie at a time by the teachers in the school. Starting in kindergarten all the way to graduate school, and in some cases medical school. Breast cancer is completely preventable, ladies and gentlemen. Breast cancer does not have to kill people. As a matter of fact, breast cancer is something you're not even supposed to get. Because breast cancer, like many other medical aberrations that are treated as a chronic deficiency of petrochemically derived patented poisons pushed by allopathic pill-pushing murderers. That's right, doctors. What causes breast cancer, ladies and gentlemen? You want to know what causes breast cancer? I'm going to start going down the line here. If you want to avoid breast cancer, you don't want to die, you don't want to be scared to death, and okay, there are some good doctors out there. I'd love to see some or hear from some, because you know what? You're all part of the system. You're all part of the system. You doctors, let's see you come out and let's see you come forward and speak the truth about breast cancer. I am sick and tired of breast cancer awareness. I am sick and tired of being aware of something that we shouldn't have to be dealing with. I'm sick and tired of you stupid firemen and you stupid Avon ladies walking around wearing pink shirts, hanging ribbons on fire trucks, and putting pink wrapper on fire trucks, making me aware of a problem that shouldn't even be here in the first place. We already are aware of the problem, you idiots. We don't want this problem. We want this problem to go away. But oh no. The fire department shows up with pink shirts on and puts pink wrapping paper and has kids sign the ribbons on their fire trucks as the moms die. A horrific, painful, arduous, torturous death that is aided and abetted by the medical butchery and the medical debauchery involved in the procedures and treatments of a disease that shouldn't even exist in the first place. Breast cancer. Breast cancer is a killer, folks. Just the way they like it. Just the way it's designed to be. All right, so if you're stupid enough to trust the doctors on how to take care of your health, let's just see what they'll tell you to take. All right, so the doctors will actually tell you you can take certain drugs to prevent breast cancer, believe it or not. This is how crazy things are, folks. They will tell you to take an anti-neoplastic agent such as tamoxifen, right? You've heard about tamoxifen, right? The doctors will tell you to take this prophylactically to prevent breast cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, they're telling you to take a drug that poisons your body. They're telling you to take a drug that is an estrogen modulator. They're telling you to take a drug that doesn't grow on a plant or swim in the ocean or come from an animal that walks the face of the earth. They're telling you to take a chemical concoction, witch's brew potion, synthetically derived from petrochemical poison, prescribed by an allopathic pimp in a white coat, giving you false hope. So they want you to take a drug to prevent you from getting breast cancer. Well, how do you prevent yourself from getting breast cancer? Let's start with the basics. First of all, you don't smash your breasts. Your breasts are glands. And for men, you know who you are. If you ever been hit in the nuts, you know what I'm talking about. It hurts for a long time. And if you repeatedly injure that little gland you got there, it's going to develop into some serious problems, because cancer is, number one, a result of a repeated injury to a specific location. And how are breasts repeatedly injured? Well, how about wire bras? How about restriction and constriction of blood flow? How about the repeated injury to the tissue as the wire bra hugs up against the bottom, and then the breasts are left to hang over as a cliff, constricted, almost being tied off? That's a basic, no-nonsense, common sense preventative measure. Get rid of your wire bras, ladies and gentlemen. Men, don't be buying those Victoria's Secret wire bras for your wife, okay? You know what? The best bra is no bra, okay? But if you women want to have a bra, make sure it's one that's not going to constrict and torture those things. Now, the second thing you can do is watch what you put on your breasts. And I know that most people don't put anything on their breasts except their cell phone. So don't put your cell phone on your breasts and your wire bra, because then you've got a conductive material with a radio frequency emission source, a microwave emission source, emitting a frequency that's absorbed by the fat cells in your breast. That's right. Microwaves are absorbed by fat cells. Not a good idea, ladies and gentlemen. Men, don't let your women keep their cell phones in their bra. Women, don't do it. Now, another way to avoid breast cancer is to not put poisonous, toxic compounds near your breasts. And for starters, let's look at what you're putting under your arms, ladies. These aluminum, quaternium compounds. Have you ever looked at these antiperspirants and these deodorant ingredients? Did you know that there is nanotechnology in these deodorants and antiperspirants? Did you know that under your armpits are lymph nodes and they're connected to your lymphatic system? And did you know that that stuff ends up getting where it's not supposed to go? Stop poisoning your armpits, ladies. If you're really concerned about the smell under your arms, may I suggest dusting it with baking soda, a relatively harmless, deodorizing compound that is virtually non-toxic. We all put baking soda boxes in our refrigerators, don't we? Why? Because it's a deodorizer. Naturally, it neutralizes odors. Now that we've gotten away from the physical mechanics, oh, and I mustn't forget, mammograms cause breast cancer. Stop getting mammograms. Do self-inspection. And men, you can help your wives out with this. You need to know your body, ladies. You need to understand the changes in your body. You need to keep an eye on them. But don't be smashing them up and getting them irradiated with ionizing fields coming from a $2 million mammography machine at the allopathic pill-pushing pimp's office in the white coat. Now, let's go back to the basics, because I've just addressed external factors that affect those mammary glands' ability to self-sustain all the way to the point that they are able to fulfill their desired purpose as ordained and created by Almighty God, and that is to feed children. Let's talk about what sets you up for breast cancer, ladies. Well, the first thing that sets you up for breast cancer is a diet that contains sugar, refined sugar, glucose, fructose, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, agave syrup. That's right, all those refined products. And you think agave syrup is safe, it's fructose. And that's no better for you than high fructose corn syrup, folks. Different mechanism than regular table sugar, controlled and regulated by your liver, still horrible for insulin levels, and feeds cancer like nobody's business. Did you know cancer feeds on sugar? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to feed your cancer, feed your cancer. That means you eat sugar. Now, if you go to the store, everything in the store has sugar in it. You know what you have to do? You have to read the box. You have to read the can. You have to read the label. And if it says S-U-G-A-R, that's another word for poison. Sugar is Spanish for poison. Sugar is Korean for poison. Sugar is Latin for poison. Sugar is Italian for poison. Sugar is Danish for poison. Sugar is German for poison. Sugar is Arabic for poison. Sugar is Slavic for poison. Sugar is every language in the world translated as poison, ladies and gentlemen. You women that are eating sugar are feeding your cancer cells. Now, let's talk about how cancer cells get into your body. Well, there's a couple ways cancer cells enter your body. And I'm driving by one of the best places for cancer cells to get into your body. And that's a Walgreens pharmacy where flu shots are now available. And the deal of the week is 12 packs of Coke, 3 for $9.99. So they give you the vaccines and they jack you up with sugar at Walgreens as you walk in under the sorcerer's cup with the magic wand in it, which is a forbidden, abominable practice in the Word of God and in the Torah, folks. Pharmakia is sorcery. And what do the pharmacies engage in? They engage in pharmakia. They engage in poisoning you with sugar and drugs and vaccines. And vaccines are direct access to your bloodstream. What's in the vaccines, folks? Well, I'll tell you what's not in there. And that is things that we know about. Because let me tell you why. The vaccines all state that they have not been tested for mutagenic potential, carcinogenic potential, or impairment of fertility. Now, answer A and B involves cancer. Mutagenic potential means that there could be a mutagen inside there, which means it can cause cell irregular growth and abnormal reproduction, which is cancer. A carcinogen is a compound that can poison your body and aid and abet the process of all the aforementioned. And of course, don't forget your 3 packs of Coke, your 3 12-packs. Can you believe you can get 36 cans of that caramel coloring, phosphoric acid, sodium benzoate, high fructose corn syrup, bone dissolving, belly busting garbage for $10 plus CRV as the BPA is leached into the solution from that pH of about 4 in that can. that takes the aluminum out of the can and puts it into solution. Isn't that wonderful? Folks, sugar! Vaccines can introduce cancer viruses into your body. How do I know this? It happened to my father on Ellis Island in the early 1960s when he immigrated here from Italy and was given the dirty hot lot of polio vaccines. And the SV40 gave him adenocarcinoma and he died from it, folks. How do I know this? I've researched it enough to make me sick and angry as all heck, folks. Breast cancer is caused by vaccines. Cancer viruses get into your body by vaccines. Don't take these shots. Now, what's another way cancer viruses get into our body? Well, there are viruses that cause cancer. Just ask the Rockefeller Institute about them. They've been spending decades and decades developing them and patenting them. That's what they're into, folks. So how do viruses get into your body? Well, first through your bloodstream. That's the most effective way to get viruses into your body and into your bloodstream. That's a guaranteed way to get cancer cells rocking and rolling. Inject them! Well, you ever been to a meat packing house? You ever been to one of these slaughterhouses? I have somebody who worked in one for years. It was a good friend of mine. And he told me about these different lots that in different tubs and different rows and different conveyor belts. And all of the tumors that were excised off the pigs and the cows and the chickens went into the hot dogs and the sausages and the chicken dinos and the chicken nuggets and all of these products. That's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. All of these products that are in the luncheon meats and the sliced roast beef you get in the fast food and the compressed chicken sandwiches all has been derived from the part that nobody wants to turn into prime rib and USDA choice that ends on the table for the special holiday. The meat has cancer cells in it. It's got cancer viruses in it. It's got all kinds of stuff. Where did the animals get the cancer from? Well, the animals are getting vaccinated, folks. That's right, the animals are getting injected with cancer viruses too. Because those vaccines have not been tested for mutagenic potential, carcinogenic potential, or impairment of fertility either. Gosh, this is getting ridiculous. All right, so we've established that we don't want to be putting cancer viruses into our bodies. And ladies, you need to knock it off. You need to stop getting all these injections and eating all this junk. And a lot of women are eating a lot of junk. And I know this just based on first glance and basic observation. You ladies, you women need to take better care of yourselves because someday you're going to be somebody's mom. Someday you're going to be somebody's wife. Someday you're going to be somebody's grandma and aunt and uncle. And someday you're going to face the reality that you should have done better. And if you'd have known you were going to live that long, you should have taken better care of yourself. Those are famous words, folks. I know people that were extremely wealthy and successful, and one of their most strongest regrets in life is that they said that if they'd known they were going to live this long, they would have taken better care of themselves. Ladies, I'm telling you now, and if there's any young people listening to me, you young girls out there, you need to understand that this is all avoidable and you don't have to go down this road. These vaccines, like the HPV vaccines, all these things, they're injecting cancer virus material into your body. Human papillomavirus causes cancer. They're injecting human papillomavirus, attenuated forms and genetic material thereof into young girls' bodies. Don't do this. It's not required. It's not necessary. It's not mandated. It's not legally required. You're not legally obligated to do this to your daughters. Don't do it! You know, another GoFundMe page pops up in my Facebook because somebody's mom died of breast cancer. And it makes me sick. And you know what else it makes me? It makes me angry. You want to know why? Because everybody that loses their wife shuts their mouth and won't talk about what did it to them. There's a period for mourning, and then there's a period for anger, and there's a period to expose the failure of the system and how it created the problem and finished the job in the first place. You know, there was a Boy Scout troop leader in my city, in Fullerton, I think it's Troop 97, and this man was a sound engineer for Disney. for decades, folks. He's dead. He fought a long battle with cancer, brain cancer, a rare form of very aggressive brain cancer. And this guy fought it, went back and forth with all these poisonous treatments and all these false hopes from the doctors for years. And they cut and they surgically removed and they chemotherapy and they radiated this guy. This guy worked for Disney as a sound engineer for decades, and he was around hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of wireless devices his whole life. And I, at the time my son was in this Boy Scout troop, was hanging banners across from the high school where all these moms had their kids in this troop. They had these moms in the PTA. While this guy was dying of brain cancer, I was posting all this information on how wireless radiation causes cancer, causes brain cancer. All these articles on the Fullerton Informer, and the one I did on the untimely death of Gary Carter, linking the radar in tennis and in baseball to the brain cancer of the pitchers and the tennis players. I mean, I laid it out on a silver platter with caviar and blood orange marmalade and nasturtium flowers and hibiscus flowers and black cod miso style with a cappuccino martini. All right? And they ignored it all and tried to make fun of me. And this guy, they had the churches praying for this guy. You know what? When he died, you think anybody made a mention of what killed him? No! He died and everybody shut their mouth. Nobody stood up against what's being done to the kids in these schools, how they're being microwaved, how they're being irradiated, how they're being set up for cancer and infertility. No, this guy's dead. His wife didn't want to talk about it. I have a friend of mine that tried to communicate with her. She wouldn't hear it. This guy died from occupational microwave exposure. So did Gary Carter, the catcher for the Mets, and all these pitchers that had the radar guns aimed at their heads, and the catchers that had the radar gun aimed at the back of their heads. Look it up! The Fullerton Informer, the untimely death of Gary Carter. Look at these tennis players. Where radar is employed, all these people got brain cancer. I tried to warn these community sycophant establishment lackeys. While this guy dies, and they go through all this pomp and circumstance and mourning, why don't you warn others so it doesn't happen to them? Well, that's what I'm doing, folks, because my wife is never going to die of breast cancer, and I'm not worried about that. And neither are my daughters. All right, so where did I leave off before I got into this tirade of frustration against cognitive dissonance? And I'm not talking about cognitive dissonance. I'm talking about cognitive dissidents. That's what these people are that aid and abet the weaponry deployment in the schools, aid and abet the forced vaccination program in the schools, and aid and abet the medical mafia's debauchery and horrendous practices that are ensuring the virtual snuffing out of anybody that gets close to coming down with one of these chronic metabolic disorders that some people think are a death sentence when they're not. All right, so I left off with the sugar. Now, they give people tamoxifen, and I'm sorry I'm going long on this, folks. I'm sorry I'm going long on this. By the way, ask the cops that kept the radar gun on their laps, and they got testicular cancer too. And by the way, why don't you look up the statistics on testicular cancer in young men from all these wireless gaming controllers? I tried to warn you. So tamoxifen is an estrogen moderator, and it's also got anti-neoplastic properties. So they want to give you something that controls estrogen because apparently they're admitting that estrogen levels being out of control have involvement in breast cancer. By the way, this is an important video, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you repost this and share it. So they tell us that we can take a drug that will prevent breast cancer, and it's a drug called tamoxifen that mediates estrogen and has anti-neoplastic properties. Well, why don't we stop screwing up the estrogen levels in these women, folks? All right. Well, let's start out with the estradiol and the diethylstilbestrol that they used to give the women. You know, the doctors used to give women all these estrogen supplements, and now they're putting girls on the birth control pill because their periods are all jacked up from all the dairy products from the RBST and all the hormones in the milk. You see, they give these cows all these drugs to make them make tons of milk, and then the girls drink these milkshakes, and they eat this ice cream, and they eat all these cheese slices, and they eat all these cheese puffs, and they drink all this this milk and these frappiapi macchiatos, and they have this yogurt and you know, all this. You know what I'm talking about, folks. All these girls are eating all this dairy product stuff. And so what happens? Well, the estrogen gets into the body and starts screwing up all their estrogen levels, and pretty soon they're having 3 menstrual cycles a week, and then 1 every 6 months, and then they get all these pimples all over their face, and they start gaining weight, and then they're having these discharges, and before you know it, a 15-year-old's got endometriosis, right? And so what do the doctors do? Oh, we have a solution! We're going to give you a hormone therapy, right? Or we're going to give you birth control. Man alive, this is really frustrating. So stop jacking your body with all kinds of hormones that are coming from the poison cows, folks. Ladies, they got these commercials. I remember, I stopped watching TV about 20 years ago. And they had these supermodels putting the milk glass up to their face and putting this milk mustache on them and saying milk does a body good. Well, how so? How is milk doing a body good when they've got to pasteurize it and kill all the enzymes in it so you can't digest it? And because you can't digest it, and they know this, they've got to homogenize it so you can digest it. And so they spray this chlorine, bleach, hormone, and glyphosate-fed laden garbage pile chemical up against a stainless steel wall at, I don't know, a couple 100 degrees, and splatter the fat droplets all over the place and break them up so you can digest. You can't digest that crap. And then, you know, they put the synthetic vitamin D in the milk because, you know, vitamin D is so important. You see, vitamin D is key. But they give you synthetic vitamin D and make you drink hormone juice. That's right, folks. Instead of having you eat natural food and get sunlight, they give you hormone juice and put synthetic vitamin D in it, and that's supposed to make you healthy. Breast cancer is caused by hormone imbalance induced by toxic food that is laced with bovine hormones, growth hormones, lactation hormones in the animals. Fat-soluble hormones that you pick up in the butter, cheese, and the yogurt and ice cream. Vitamin D is a necessity, ladies and gentlemen, and the common denominator in breast cancer is vitamin D deficiency. And how do you get adequate amounts of vitamin D? Well, you go outside and you look at the sunlight reflecting off the trees and the grass and the butterflies and the lakes and the rivers and the ponds and the buildings and the sidewalks and the blacktop and the cars. Wherever you may find yourself on the face of this fabulous creation that God has made, you need sunlight through your eyes. You need sunlight through your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, to make vitamin D. Your body can make vitamin D as the sunlight goes through your eyes and the sunlight hits your skin and your body makes vitamin D. You need vitamin D. You need sunlight. So, what does the doctors try to treat when you have when you have breast cancer? Well, what do they go after? They go after estrogen moderation. They try to get control of your estrogen levels. Well, of course, they're out of control by the food the doctors tell you to eat and the pills the doctors tell you to take. You know, the birth control that screwed your estrogen levels up in the first place? That's right. And so they'll tell you to take these estrogen mediating compounds, and they'll tell you to take these synthetic vitamins your body doesn't know what to do with when you consume them. And, of course, you follow the Hollywood Satanist ritual cult in Madison Avenue's advice to drink milk that's made on factory farms where these cows are knee-deep in their own excrement, walking around in the freezing cold, you know, eating a bunch of glyphosate-sprayed crap, given antibiotics and hormones, and you're drinking that stuff, and you're eating the ice cream, and that's right, it's in all the ice cream, it's in everything. So, folks, vitamin D, get it from the sun, get off the milk, get off the sugar. Get off all the non-organic dairy, ladies. All right, so let's go into this. So they talk about how bone health is an important component of breast cancer treatment. Well, What is bone health really based on? Well, sunlight exposure. Because bone health is achieved by maintaining two things in proper balance. Proper hormone levels, maintain proper bone density, and proper sunlight exposure yields proper vitamin D levels, which is necessary for vitamin D for vitamin D and calcium uptake to create proper bones and maintain healthy bones. So you've got to get calcium, folks. Where do you get your calcium? Women, you don't get your calcium from getting a mustache from drinking a caramel macchiato from corn syrup and caramel coloring and all that that gooey crap they put in your coffee. If you got to drink coffee, drink it black, for crying out loud. At least get some taste out of it, right? No! You need to get your calcium from the same place the cows do. The cows get the calcium from the dirt because they eat plants and suck it up from the dirt. Ladies, you got to eat your vegetables. And I'm not talking the ones that come in the microwave box with a bunch of cheese and sugar soaking inside them. I'm talking about ones that you can get at the organic section of the grocery store, the ones you get in your backyard, or the one from your farmer's market. Ladies, you got to listen to me. Breast cancer is avoidable. Stop giving it to yourselves, ladies. And men, you know what? Man up and stop running to the doctors like they have the solution. Take care of your lady, guys. Take care of your lady, guys. Stop letting your ladies go to hell, okay? Because that's what's going on. You don't pay enough attention to your wives, and you make them do everything. You don't let them get enough sleep, and you make your wife do everything. You scumbags are killing your wives. You need to love your wives. You need to take care of your wives. All right, so what else causes breast cancer besides lazy husbands that make women go sleep deprived? You see, sleep deprivation is another cause of breast cancer. And what causes sleep deprivation? Well, men that don't want to do their fair share, men that cheat on their wives and keep them awake at night, men that don't pay any attention to their wives and bring home the garbage and make their wives eat it. That's right. That's right! Well, what else causes these women to fall apart at the seams like a Chrysler that's been 5 years in the snow in Minnesota when it came off the assembly line looking like a Maserati, right? That's right. Lack of sleep, folks. What causes lack of sleep? TV! Blue light! Guys, get that TV out of the bedroom. Women, get off the TV. Stop watching television. Television causes breast cancer. The blue light and the white light at night suppresses melatonin. Melatonin's a sleep hormone. That hormone is an endocrine hormone. And when you screw up your endocrine system and your sleep cycle, you screw up everything. Stop watching TV at night, ladies. Get off your iPads. Get the iPad off your breast. Get the phone off your breast. Get the cordless phone off your nightstand that's right next to your breast when you're sleeping. Get the Wi-Fi router out of your house. All this stuff affects melatonin. All this stuff affects cell division. All this stuff. Wi-Fi. Fluoride. Fluoride affects melatonin, folks. Calcifies the pineal gland. Stop the fluoride in your toothpaste. Stop the fluoride in your mouthwash. Stop the fluoride in those cut-up apples you're buying. Did you know those cut-up apples in the bag have fluoride to keep them from browning? Did you ever wonder how they magically keep the apples from browning? They're all jacked up on fluoride. All these bagged vegetables and fruits are all fluoridated, folks. So is the Prozac. Prozac's a bunch of fluoride. Most of these serotonin reuptake inhibitors are a bunch of fluoride pills. All right, so we've gotten into bone health. Bone health is accomplished by maintaining proper sunlight exposure, vitamin D levels, and of course a proper amount of calcium and minerals. You've got to have minerals in your diet, ladies and gentlemen. And where do you get your minerals from? The vegetables! From the ground! And if you think the soils are depleted, which most are, take your fireplace ashes and throw them in your garden, till the soil, and you get your minerals. And if that's not feasible for you, go and find yourself some good coral powder that's ground up and put it in your concoction in the morning. Now, we've got to continue this discussion, folks. So, plastics, BPA, bisphenol A, these and the phthalates, they cause breast cancer as well. All the endocrine disrupting chemicals cause breast cancer, folks. How do we disrupt your endocrine system? Well, the first way you can disrupt your endocrine system is fluorescent lighting. That's right. You work in an office with pink fluorescent lighting. Well, guess what? It's doing a job on you. Fluorescent lights will kill you if you don't get adequate amounts of sunlight through your eyes during your lifetime. And that's why they put pink fluorescent lights in the schools. And that's why there's so many teachers that have breast cancer, folks. Because they spend all day inside these pink fluorescent lights with tinted windows to keep the sunlight out. And of course, ladies, I can't forget this one. If you don't want to get breast cancer, get rid of your sunglasses. Get rid of your sunglasses, ladies. The sunlight is supposed to go into your eyes. The sunlight is supposed to go to your skin. You're supposed to have sunlight through your eyes. You're supposed to have sunlight on your skin. There's a reason why God hung the sun in the sky, so where it's almost unavoidable everywhere you go for 10, 11 hours a day. You need it! For crying out loud, what have they done to all of you? All of these chemicals. Now, let's talk about the stuff they've got in the spray bottles for you to breathe as you squirt it all over your house if you're fortunate enough to have a husband that has allowed you to stay home and you're poisoning your home with all of these chemicals. Right? That's right. So, there are chemicals on furniture and clothing like Scotchgard. You know anything about these flame retardants and these water repellents on the clothing? You better do your homework. So we've covered the issue of television and television, that scrying mirror that's destroying you and creating all these stress hormones as you watch everybody get murdered, raped, and stolen from every night. That these satanic pedophile freaks that run Hollywood, these black magic sorcerer scum that run the media, these deniers of Jesus Christ that inflict nothing but misery on you through their psychotronic weaponry. You need to get rid of the television, ladies, because you will get breast cancer, or you will get another form of cancer from the endocrine disruption, from the melatonin disruption, from your sleep deprivation, and from all the stress hormones, from filling your mind full of filth and anger and violence and debauchery. Now, maybe some of you are into that. Well, go drink your adrenochrome and get away from me. You sick bastards. It's unbelievable what's out there. You know that? This is sick. I cannot believe that we have $1 million fire truck that shows up to Troy High School, and they wrap it in pink wrapping paper, and they got these overpaid firemen that sit around and eat all day, making $200,000 a year, doing nothing but chasing ambulances around from fender benders. I mean, Larry Parker would have more business at these accident scenes than these firemen. And I'm not going to detract from their jobs when they go into the forest fires and stuff, but by and large, most of these firemen never see a real day of service in their lives. And yet they're part of this fraud, and I've exposed this fraud so many times right in front of their Pinktober, or whatever they call this breast cancer awareness baloney. And they spend all this money on making people aware of a problem that we're already sick of hearing about. Why don't we deal with some solutions? Now, I'll tell you another way to avoid breast cancer, and that is you need to understand the concept of consuming foods containing nitrilicides, ladies and gentlemen. Nitrilicides are a naturally occurring compound in grasses and in certain types of seeds like apple seeds and apricot seeds and peach seeds. You break the pits open from these stone fruits and there's a little bitter almond in there. It's also found in grains like buckwheat and spelt and millet and sorghum, but you know, we don't eat those things. Those compounds, in the presence of cancer, enzymes are produced near cancer cells in your body where it breaks open this nitrilicide and it releases cyanide and kills the cancer, folks. That's natural chemotherapy inside your body 24/7 going through the bloodstream if you would eat the right foods, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, but they don't give us foods that contain nitrilicides anymore because we don't eat grass-fed beef, we don't eat grass-fed meat, we don't eat sorghum, millet, or spelt. Or buckwheat. We eat wheat, which is devoid of nitrilicides. You gotta consume nitrilicides, ladies. Buy yourself some apricot pits and eat a couple a day. Get them into your body. Eat them every day. Every day you've got to have nitrilicides in your body. You got to keep them flowing through your bloodstream, because I want to tell you something, folks. I got cancer in me. So do you. And if you eat the apricot seeds And if you eat the nitrilicide-rich foods, your body can knock the stuff down before it takes hold. Now, a little bit more on this breast cancer business. It's a business, folks. Chemotherapy is not the answer. You see, breast cancer is not a deficiency of 5-fluorouracil, folks. Breast cancer is not a chronic metabolic deficiency of ionizing radiation. Breast cancer is a chronic metabolic disorder, period. But it's not a radiation deficiency, and it's not a chemotherapy deficiency. It's hormones out of whack, a crappy diet, lack of sunlight, lack of exercise, lack of sleep, and repeated injury to the tissue, perhaps all rolled into one big fat burrito coming out of a microwave. Ladies, stay away from the microwave. Don't sit there and watch the Hot Pockets pop, okay? The microwave oven is not an effective Faraday cage. You take a meter and that thing leaks like a sieve, folks. Stay away from it. Stay away from it. Now, we're going to continue. So we're going to talk about things that you can do. There are certain foods you can eat, ladies. You see, they want to give you a drug that has estrogen regulating properties and anti-neoplastic properties. So let me ask you a question. Why would you jack up your estrogen levels in the first place? Well, why are you eating all that soy? Why are you drinking that soy milk? Why are you eating that soy ice cream? Why are you putting those soy isoflavones in your smoothie? Why are you putting soy lecithin inside your baked goods? Why are you consuming tofu? Why are you doing this? Soy is a phytoestrogen that will jack you ladies up. It screws up your estrogen levels. Soy is poison. Stay away from it. You don't live in Japan. And you don't consume a diet loaded with arginine, folks. You cannot handle all these phytoestrogens unless you have anti-neoplastic containing foods. And you need to be eating seaweed. You need to be eating chickpeas. And you need to be eating things that have arginine in them. And let me tell you something, folks. The people in the Orient that eat lots of soy also eat lots of foods containing anti-neoplastic compounds. You know, in China and in Japan, they eat a lot of fish. They eat a lot of seaweed, folks. All right, so if you can't eat seaweed, ladies, start eating chickpeas. Look up arginine-containing foods. They have anti-neoplastic properties. If you're worried about breast cancer, you need to be eating things that don't screw up your estrogen levels and that do have anti-neoplastic properties. And guess what? You also need to be eating things that contain nitrillicides. You also need to be eating things that are nutrient-dense and not full of sugar and hormones. Ice cream is the deadliest poison on the face of the earth, folks. It has so much garbage in it. It is the most deadly food you can eat. You know, I just wish that one of these women who left behind a husband would memorialize the name of their fallen spouse and get on the right side of things. Instead of raising money for the American Cancer Society, instead of raising money for this Susan Komen Foundation, perpetuating the butchery, perpetuating the death sentence, instead of giving money and asking people to donate to these nonprofits that have people slathering sunscreen full of toxic nanoparticles on their skin as they walk around tracks at high school stadiums drinking Diet Joke under the sun, raising money to raise awareness. Are you kidding me? Do I need to get into the preservatives too? You know, the sodium benzoate and the polysorbate 80 and the potassium sorbate and the sorbic acid and the tert-butyl hydroxyquinone and all the, I mean, all this stuff. You know, my wife and I were talking about this lady that died in our community last night, and, you know, I'm sitting there in the kitchen and we're just having a conversation. She's washing the dishes and I'm taking care of some other things. And I looked at her as she was talking, and for a moment there, I envisioned what it would be like without her. And I looked at what it would like. I envisioned what would my life be like without my wife. And you know, I kind of held back the tears for a second there because, you know, we're going into a nice time of the year where we're going to spend some time together with the family, and you know, the kids will be home from school, and we have some time off, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, this is such a sad situation because this is all preventable, folks. This was all preventable. And yet, for 5 years in Fullerton, California, I've screamed from the mountaintops. I've put flyers on cars, hung banners on walls across from schools. I've stood at the drop-off line where all the parents drive by with these 8-foot by 4-foot banners explaining what microwaves do to children, what wireless radiation does. I've been kicked off of all these local forums so many times. I've been kicked out of Facebook groups so many times. I've been banned from all these platforms so many times for warning people about this. And when these people die of cancer, their spouses remain silent, ignore everything, and then ask people to donate money to these foundations to keep this fraud going. And I'm not putting up with it anymore, folks. And this is how I get the word out. And this is how you need to get the word out. And if you have breast cancer, you need to understand how to treat it, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not with chemotherapy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm a medical doctor, because I'm not. And I'm not sitting here giving you medical advice. I'm sitting here telling you how to take care of yourself. And one of the things you could do if you have cancer is you could starve that cancer, ladies and gentlemen. And you can feed your body necessary nutrients. And let me tell you some of the necessary nutrients. Iodine. Iodine is a necessary nutrient. Copper is a necessary nutrient. Selenium is a necessary nutrient, folks. Vitamin D. I mean, for crying out loud, rub some iodine on your stomach every morning if you got breast cancer, and let your body suck it up. And start getting the minerals in your body, and start fasting and going without food. Starve it! Stop feeding the cancer the sugar! There's a reason why we used to drink from copper mules, folks. Copper is good for you. If you got copper pipes, copper is good. Copper is necessary. Selenium is necessary. These minerals are necessary. These metals are necessary. Aluminum is not. Use copper teapots. Use copper mugs. But don't get the ones from India that are made with cadmium and a bunch of lead. They're fake. Ladies, get off the diet joke. Aspartame turns into formaldehyde at 98 degrees, and it does that in the window at Walgreens too. Stop drinking diet joke. Oh, gosh. Turmeric. Put some turmeric in a glass of water every morning. Drink some turmeric. It's an anti-inflammatory compound. Very important. But sugar is the biggest death sentence you'll ever impose on yourself or your family, folks. Get it out of your life. And watch the pounds fall off of you like butter hits a hot iron, folks. I'm telling you. Sugar is a death sentence. Breast cancer is not a death sentence, folks. Breast cancer is curable. Breast cancer is preventable. And you need to understand that the doctors don't have the answers. They've got a medical economic solution. And you're right. I got to think of my cortisol. You know, this is righteous indignation and righteous anger. Apple cider vinegar every morning, ladies and gentlemen. Get your digestive system into high gear. Get your hydrochloric acid levels up. Digestive enzymes are very important. These are things that all start waning as you get older. And it's amazing how when people have acid reflux, the doctors give them a pill to shut off their HCl pump instead of aiding and abetting the pH drop that needs to happen. You know, this is such an onion that it's got so many layers. You know, I was cutting up an onion last night for my salad, and by the way, you got to eat onions. Onions are really good for you. And there's, you know, peeling one layer off the outside and another one. I mean, there's so many layers. Then I cut the thing. I look at all the layers inside this thing. I'm like, boy, this is an onion we're dealing with, folks. And I know this is a long one. And You know, the solutions are cheap and easy, folks. And, you know, baking soda, a tablespoon of baking soda in a glass of water. If you got cancer, drink that every night before you go to bed and 1 in the morning when you wake up. But, you know, I mean, you got to alkalinize at the same time. You got to add. So when you're going to eat, you want to aid your digestive system. A little bit of apple cider vinegar before you eat your meal. And before you go to bed, have a little baking soda and water to alkalinize. And, you know, you got to eat raw greens and get fresh sunlight, fresh air, plenty of oxygen. No stress. You got to get away from the stress. You got to get away from all the chemicals. You got to get away from all the cleaning agents. You got to get fresh air, exercise, sleep, rest. No stress. No drugs. No doctors. You know, if you're toxic and you're full of sugar and you can't stop eating all that stuff, then take the chemo and take the radiation and take the surgery. You know, all these Hollywood singers and musicians, you know why they're all getting breast cancer? Because they got the wireless microphone in their bras. I mean, come on. This is obvious, okay? This is not a joke anymore, folks. And when I think about these people in my community that are dropping dead and they remain silent and don't get on the right side of things, it makes me mad. Now, I don't know in this last case if the husband knows about all this information. I don't see how he couldn't. If he's lived in Fullerton long enough, he's probably... Who knows? I don't know why people clam up. Maybe they're just hurt. Maybe they're scared. I don't know. And it's not fun burying a spouse. I've never experienced it, but I will never experience it as long as I can help it, folks. I will do everything I can to keep my wife healthy and wise and protected from these agendas and these poisons. You know, I cannot believe how we're being poisoned, and it's so obvious. Everything on the shelves has got sugar in it. Everything on the shelves has got cartoons on it. Everything on the shelves got poison in it. Everything on the shelves is crap. It's garbage. Garbage. It's just garbage. Everything people eat is trash. It's crap. And you just inject all your kids and you sit in front of these huge TVs on your couch, ruining your eyes, going blind from the blue light, and staying awake all night watching these crazy kinky movies and all this violent crap, all this satanic, demonic garbage. My gosh. I don't know. Get the word out, ladies and gentlemen. One more death from this is too many. All right? And you know, here's the most important part of it all, folks. Is even if you can't stop the cancer, at least you can avoid eternal damnation by getting right with Jesus Christ and getting right with God and accepting the sinless shed blood of Jesus Christ on that cross 2,000 years ago as full atonement and propitiation for your sins, as full payment for your sins. There is no other way to get clean, folks. Ain't no other way. If you found one, I'd sure like to know about it. Because I'm going to follow the one who paid it all, and the one who is the truth and the life and the only way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Imbriano. Contact information, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California. Email is joeimbriano777@gmail.com. The websites are wifidangers.com and the FullertonInformer.com. Look, folks, you've been given a lot of information in this. I think I've went for almost an hour. And it's time for me to finish my apple cider vinegar and Meyer lemon and key lime, turmeric, coral powder, black pepper, ginger extract, a little bit of cartilage powder, and what else did I put in that baby this morning? I got some allspice in there and some, what's that other stuff I put in there this morning? Just cayenne pepper and of course black pepper. What else is in there? Let me think here for just a second. What did I forget? Oh, cloves. Clove powder. Yeah. You know, I mix it up. I mix it up, folks, every morning. I drink it up. And oh, there's chlorella and spirulina in here. Jesus was the healer, folks. He was the physician. He was a great physician. And you want to know something? He still is. Because guess what happens? When you are set free by the power of Almighty God and His sinless Son, Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, you know what happens? The truth will set you free, and he who has been set free is free indeed. And guess what? The wisdom comes, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free, and that also includes the bondage and lies of the corruption of these medical mafia systems that have you by the neck, and you got to let them let you go. And that means you put your faith and trust in the truth and not in the lie. God bless, folks.